What is up, YouTube? It is Nev and Matt from Uncrowned Kings here. Today we're going with our third episode of Tier List Tuesdays. Today, with the YCS being this past weekend, Matt and I are a little kind of burnt out, for lack of better words, on competitive play.
Burnt out.
So we kind of wanted to do a fun one, more laid back. This one is going to be the tier list for monsters in the Duelist Kingdom anime series. So this is just season 1. Realistically, we just don't want to talk about fire anymore. If I see a Snake Eye Ash or a Flame Bridge Dragon, I might spontaneously combust.
Let's get the fire out of the way then. I'll get that shit out of the way early. Let's talk about Flame Swordsman real quick.
Straight up D tier.
Horrible card. It's played in the current meta. What it does right now is horrible. What it did back then is horrible. Fuck Joey, fuck Flame Swordsman, fuck fire. Put that shit out.
Couldn't say it better myself. I am going to keep it in D tier though, with another card that is a personal pet peeve of mine. Happy Lover. This card sucks. Taya Gardner played it once against My Valentine after he was all sad, almost killing Kaiba. Card doesn't do anything. She didn't even win. Mai just decided to quit. It wasn't worth it. It was a waste of an episode. Not a cool card.
Hell yeah.
I am going to move up into S tier though. This is our first S tier monster. We're putting Blue Eyes White Dragon up there. This card, very cool monster. Seemed like Kaiba always started off the games with it. Didn't require a chibi monster. It was always just this imposing, menacing dragon that just kind of just like floated. It's one of the most
super
iconic.
Nostalgic.
Yep. Super
nostalgic card too. I mean, a lot of people's first card was, from the original starter decks. Mine was Blue Eyes White Dragon from the first starter deck, 2001, I think. So.
Yep,
I've been playing this game a long time.
Same here, and it is one of my favorite cards. It is tatted on me. It just feels right being an S tier.
Oh yeah, why don't we move on to something a little bit more modern now? Why don't we throw a branded monster up there?
Alrighty, yes, we're going with Black Skull Dragon. This is an albaz-y monster.
Yeah, so you can make this with Albaz and any dragon, and Joey Wheeler, classic Albaz duelist here. He was always using Red Eyes Black Dragon to make this behemoth of an Albaz monster, and really just super synergetic with the Albaz strategy. Its effect, believe it or not, is nothing.
Yeah, it's great. It's a big 3200 body, great super poly target.
Yeah.
But we are going to move on, keeping it towards B tier now. We're going to put on the mech suit that Albaz uses to turn into Black Skull Dragon.
That's right, yeah. Albaz actually can't go into this with a dragon unless he's wearing this suit,
And speaking of suits, we're going to put on his Iron Man suit. And got Red Eyes Black Skull Dragon in the same spot. So keeping it in B tier, I do want to stick around with Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This card is only in B tier just based off of how scarce it was used. It was summoned once that entire season. It got mollywopped by a card that is later on this list. While it was on screen, was sick because it was just 3 Blue Eyes put together. It was like Kaiba's big ultimate boss monster. But Kaiba did only win because he threatened to kill himself. So is it really a victory?
Yeah, this is one of those weird cards, too, because this has seen a little bit of play for weird reasons. Wasn't there decks that were summoning this out of their extra deck with, Cyber XYZ or something at some point? Isn't there a Cyber Dragon card that brought out a dragon from your extra deck?
There might have been. I'm honestly not sure, but I do remember this card being scarcely played in some strategies over the years. But most of my memories are from that Duelist Kingdom run.
Now, let's see what Albaz is turning into next.
So Albaz puts on a suit of armor and is riding a dragon. Putting it in C2.
I see. Yes, that is definitely Albaz. Now, what is he on there? Is that Lubellion?
It's Curse of Lubellion.
Curse of Lubellion, I see, okay.
And speaking of Curse of Lubellion, putting it right here, this card is actually Curse of Dragon, but this is the card that Yugi liked to start a lot of his games off with, but unfortunately this thing either was either fused with Gaia the Fierce Knight to make the Dragon Champion, or was just immediately ran over.
Yeah, so Yugi was tributing a monster to summon this 2000 attack 5-star monster? Is that true?
No, that's the beauty of it. There were
no he was just playing it.
He was just summoning it.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, he sounds like he's losing a lot of duels, but he's very efficiently finding ways to cheat.
Oh my goodness! Just you wait until we get further in.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how else he breaks the rules. Main character energy.
It is crazy. I am gonna give you a little bit of a taste of some of his main character energy. Catapult Turtle is gonna be our next B card. So the reason why this card breaks the rules, obviously in real Yu-Gi-Oh, this card is pretty degenerate. There is a lot of strategies where you're just trying to FTK your opponent before they get their 6th card. In the anime, a lot of the duels were environmental based. So there is an episode where Yugi literally catapult turtles his Gaia the Dragon Champion into a floating castle. The silence speaks volumes. And speaking of Catapult Turtle, this is another card you can use to catapult over some monsters to attack my Valentine. This is
a Link monster.
Soldier. Yes, our first Link monster.
Our
it's
first Link
of
monster.
2.
Wow, it's Snake Eyes in here already again. This is crazy.
We can't avoid it. So this card is in A tier and not S tier, just based off the fact that it was only used in one duel, and it was the semifinals of the tournament. It was cool to see it summoned. It's one of my favorite cards, and I do want to take the time real quick to just talk about some of these old artworks. I really appreciate how Yu-Gi-Oh started off as like monster in foreground and then like color background. As opposed to like a lot of these cards, especially spell cards, having a lot going on in their picture to kind of tell a story. I miss these portrait styles. But I do want to talk about our next Link monster. It is Magician of Black Chaos. So this
oftentimes you wind up Link climbing from the first one there into the Black Magician of Chaos there. That's the standard combo they were doing back in 2002. I remember a lot of players were really excited about this line when it came out because they could really streamline their deck building to a way where they were just ending on the same board every single game. And it really kind of revolutionized the game. I mean, back in 2002, before these Link monsters came out, I mean, you were pretty much just setting a card and passing.
Right.
But with these cards now, I mean, you were easily putting up 16k damage on board.
Yes, and there were not a lot of things that could combat it. Your opponent had to pretty much have Mirror Force as Swords of Revealing Light.
That's right. Or Insect Barrier.
Or Insect Barrier, yes. The next card I want to talk about, this is near and dear to Matt's heart. This is Celtic Guardian.
Yeah, so I mean, Celtic Guardian, I mean, ever since Lindsay Sterling put out her first album, I have been a big fan of Celtic Guardian retrospectively. I just didn't realize the power that the card could have and the way it could move my soul like her violin does. And really, Celtic Guardian has almost everything to do with that. I think that she credits a lot of her success to that card.
Hard not to. I mean, just look at him. And like I said, we are going to be bouncing around these a couple of spots, so the next thing I want to do is we're going to put the last bit of Gaia the Dragon Champion in C tier as well. Kind of the same situation with Cursive Dragon. Yu-Gi-Oh! Would
basically
just open the
just Albaz riding a horse. I mean, what more can we say? We know Albaz is on the back of that dragon, and therefore that must be Albaz on the back of the horse. So Gaia is the name of the horse.
It has
not
to
the
be.
man. Not the man, yeah.
Same thing though, always would get mollywopped by something random. Another card that didn't get mollywopped though is Dark Magician. This is the other side of that Blue Eyes coin where it kind of started it all for a lot of people. My first card, like Matt said, I was in the same boat, was Blue Eyes, but I did get the structure deck for Yugi sort after watching the anime. This, in my opinion, is the pinnacle art for Dark Magician. I understand some people like the more historically accurate red one, but the purple one's always going to be my favorite.
Again, what we were saying with Blue Eyes too, I mean, this is a lot of people's first card. I think those two cards have more weight on them than almost any other card in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of those two cards, we're going to transition over to Blue Eyes Toon Dragon.
Yeah, so this card's really good because it could attack your opponent directly 3 times in the same turn, which was just, it facilitated a lot of OTKs, but of course, it lost out to something like, I don't know, a monster? So, good cards, good Pegasus, good Eye, good book, Toon World, let's go Blue Eyes, Toon Dragon.
Speaking of Pegasus, I have Dark Rabbit. This was kind of his Bugs Bunny. This was the one thing that was always affiliated with him and Toons. Cool monster. It took us like 6 or 7 years to actually get it in the TCG after the series ended. Don't know why it took so long, but here we are. So the next two cards kind of coincide with each other. I have Harpy Lady down in D tier. My Valentine in the first season was not a good character. The first introduction we have to her entire strategy revolves around cheating.
I would like to make a case. Actually, I have two very good points here.
Okay.
To move this card up.
Okay.
I think this should go. I'm trying to see. The picture's so small. Those are definitely Bs. I'm gonna put her in B. Those are Bs. No, they're not. We're gonna have to put that in B. Those are Bs.
Yeah, man, you got it.
Yep.
She's moving it to B tier, which in a tier list format is up, but in cup size is down.
Yeah. Had to make sure. We don't want to overclassify our cards here.
Exactly. So another S tier monster. This is probably going to be Joey's only S tier monster, and it's Time Wizard. His card in the actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Fucking sucks. But in the anime, when you have plot armor, you always roll the right side of the die or flip the right coin.
Yep. Being an effect monster too, I mean that card is just way more powerful than any other card on this list.
True. I mean, realistically, it's one of like 4 effect monsters.
It has a potential to beat any of these cards.
It really does, just by having an effect. Speaking of another guy that has an effect, we're going Karibo. This card, didn't really do much. It was just kind of there to be cute. And did it work? Sometimes. But it did have moments in like the final episode or the final battle against Pegasus, using Multiply to either blank the board so Blue Eyes couldn't attack Yugi directly, or like I said against Pegasus, where Thousand Eyes Restrict would just kind of vacuum everything up, and it got stuck on so many Karibos.
If Karibo knew that one day he would become Link Karibo, he probably wouldn't have gone through with it all.
He probably would have ended it all a lot sooner.
Probably would have had cookies after midnight.
Exactly. Moving along with the Time Wizard point from earlier, putting Thousand Dragon in C tier. This card kind of weirded me out as a kid. Some people thought it was cool. I didn't. It beat Mayan Harpy Lady just by like blowing its nose on it.
And it's got one of the most interesting summoning mechanics in the entire game.
It does.
The only way to summon this is if you've had an Albaz in your deck for 3 years straight without unsleeving it. And you summon it to the field, and you also have a monster on your opponent's field that they haven't unsleeved for 3 years. That's the only way to make Thousand Dragon that I can think of.
Which is honestly very unique and creative. I kind of expected the actual summoning condition, and I don't know why I did, but I'm so happy with the explanation I got.
Give me another one. I don't think one exists.
Another one that has no summoning condition. This is Soggy the Dark Clown. I'm putting in a D tier because this card freaked me out as a kid. It's a clown. It's a long face. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, it's a Pennywise looking fucker.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not cool with it. I want nothing to do with it. I'm gonna keep it pushing and moving on. I'm putting.
Is he juggling some Ferrero Rochers? What's going on with those gold balls there?
I think they're bells.
I would like to think that they're Ferrero Rochers that he offers children.
Well,
makes them a little more scary.
Two sides of the same coin, both terrifying. I am going to put Exodia the Forbidden One in B tier, and while this is an effect monster, Yugi summoned, or Yugi activated it like once, and then it got thrown off a boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really surprise me if Yugi just summoned this guy to attack something. Like, really. The way he plays the game is wrong, you know? But what we will say is this deck did have a little bit of spotlight on it last year in the competitive scene when Jeff Leonard won a feature match at YCS Richmond. Is that right?
Indianapolis.
Couldn't remember which one it was.
We were at both of them. We saw it live in person.
It was fun. It was cool.
And Exodia, it was primarily fun because we were not playing against it.
That's right.
Could you just imagine being in a Yu-Gi-Oh setting in like a competitive tournament and just getting one of your like 2 available losses to just Exodia?
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is kind of more of a technical question.
Okay.
Can you prohibition Exodia?
I don't think so. I think it's a win condition, not an effect.
Yeah, I think so too.
Jeff Leonard would know though.
He would. Anyways, moving along here. How many cards we got left? We don't have too many cards left here.
Not too many. No.
Why don't we talk about the last? Oh, there is 2 more Albaz monsters on the list. I forgot about this one. This is an Albaz monster. So this saw a lot of success in GOAT format, and nowadays you can only play it with Albaz strategies because Albaz plus a GOAT equals Thousand Eyes Restrict, and Thousand Eyes Restrict will suck you off or suck up a monster.
Yep.
And his summoning condition is actually pretty easy. All you need is Fallen of Albaz, Fallen of Albaz, Fallen of Albaz, and an opponent's Fallen of Albaz. And
4 Albaz.
a lot of you could also have Albaz or a card treated as Fallen of Albaz, or just a single Albaz and a GOAT. So if you're playing against somebody who you think has GOAT status, you could make this, but I wouldn't put it in your extra deck just because of that. Your odds are just so low. I mean, we could run it through the hypergeometric, but I wouldn't recommend playing this card these days. Not strong.
I completely agree. I am going to move on to a stronger Albaz monster, though. We have old Albaz.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody knows how you summon this one, but I guess we'll state it just so everybody knows. So in the month of December, you have to normal summon a Fallen of Albaz, discard a card, and activate its effect while in a mall setting. That's a little tough, I know, but its effect is very good. I don't remember what it actually does, but what I'm going to tell you guys it does is it skips your opponent's turn, it skips your opponent's turn, and returns itself to the extra deck so that you can summon Albaz again and skip your opponent's turn infinitely.
Yep.
And as long as you're still in the mall, I mean, you just got Dark Sages.
True. Hey, he knows the actual card name, ladies and gentlemen. This card was... This is one of the weirder summoning conditions in Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially during that Duelist Kingdom arc. It was against Joey, he played it, and the Time Wizard resolved its effect, and because Dark Magician was so strong at magic, instead of just decaying like all the other monsters in the show did, he like aged and turned into Gandalf.
Yeah, I suppose you could summon it that way too.
It is one of the multiple summoning editions for this card. Moving on, I do want to talk about Metal Zoa. I always thought the card's art was just super cool.
That's a throwback. I fucking like that card. I got no lies to tell you guys about that card. That card's fucking sweet. I'm playing that card in something. I'm gonna make that work.
We can. I'm sure there's a possibility for it.
Unless it actually... No, actually, that's one of those fucking cards that needs Metal Morph.
Yep.
Fuck that. Not playing that. I'll play Zoa. I won't play that.
I love Zoa. Oh, man, I wish Zoa could have made the tier list.
You know what else should have made the tier list if you don't have it on there? Is Trihorn Dragon. Am I saying that right? Is that the right name?
That's the right name, but I don't think it was ever actually summoned.
Oh, okay. We're only going off of the stuff that was summoned in the anime.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of the first 2 sets or so.
No, that tier list is coming. Don't you worry.
That's cool too. Okay.
I'm gonna keep it within D tier. I got Sword Stalker. This was Kaiba's kind of main opening play. He's alright. He looks like Spawn. He got a big sword. He laughed really weird. It was a high-pitched laugh. There's not a lot really to talk about with it. It just kind of would be there in between the times where he would summon Sagi and summon Blue Eyes. I do want to put Red Eyes Black Dragon with its mech suit as well in B tier. Joey got this by beating Rex Raptor, and it was weird to have Rex have the Red Eyes in his deck. Because it was a dinosaur deck. And then Rex later along the line had another dragon. So it was just weird to see a dinosaur player have multiple dragon monsters. Red Eyes would go on to be one of the more iconic monsters in the game, but in Duelist Kingdom, it really wasn't shit.
I tell you though, as far as boss monsters go, Joey really got shafted. I mean...
Oh my goodness.
Kaiba and Yugi both have multiple monsters in their deck that are higher than this card's stats, and like
it's crazy.
Jesus Christ.
Not to mention that like 2 of the fusion monsters that are on here that require red eyes, one is requiring one of other Yugi's monsters, and Yugi controlled it, and the other one is just red eyes wearing a suit of metal.
Yeah, it doesn't even make itself bigger than Blue Eyes. It's fucking unbelievable.
True.
Joey had no shot.
He really didn't. He had the deck stacked against him. Speaking of the deck stacked against you, we're going to put Giant Soldier of Stone in S tier. This one is kind of a meme for especially like old Yu-Gi-Oh fans. Like I said, I was researching clips earlier to just talk about cards because, I mean, how many Duelist Kingdom monsters can you really remember? And I was taken aback because I had completely forgotten that against Meiko Tsunami, he used the moon to have a high tide, and Yugi sent his Giant Soldier of Stone to attack the moon. Which is just a wildly insane sentence I did not think I'd be saying.
I mean, that sounds like one of our Albaz summoning conditions for these old monsters.
It really does, and
Very in line.
It sounds like the lying ones too. And that's how Yugi won. He attacked the moon and ended up winning over it. And then next up, another one of those weird, like, this might as well work, is Mammoth Graveyard. Matt didn't know this card before, like 15 minutes ago. But this card is on here because it single-handedly took down the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. It combined with, like, Spell Shattering Arrow, was able to fuse with the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon and start decaying it from the inside out.
I love hearing that story. Nevin, can we move that higher up on A tier? All the way to the top. I mean,
all the way
I'm
to
just
the top?
a big...
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big Lion King fan, too, and that was one of the coolest scenes in Lion King growing up, the Mammoth Graveyard. I mean, you gotta show some respect to Disney as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. The hyenas, a highly underrated part of Lion King. Not the live action one. The live action one we don't talk about, but the original animated one, perfection. And then our last card, Beaver Warrior. I don't know what you want us to say about it. There really isn't anything else to talk about.
Most attack points in the game, higher in S tier.
Yeah, I mean, you got it.
It's gotta go. Who is Blue Eyes? Nobody knows.
Well, he's a bitch compared to Beaver Warrior, I can tell you that much. But anyway, this does it for our tier list. We had a lot of fun, just realistically, just kind of bullshitting on this one. If you managed to stick around and listen to us ramble about some of these cards, and realistically, mostly about Fallen of Albaz, it's greatly appreciated. Next week might be another more fun one. Next week might be a slightly more serious. We're honestly not sure.
We're not going to make any promises. I mean, I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want to say.
and realistically, this is kind of Matt and myself coming out of our shell. So like I said, thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate it. And remember to claim your crown. Good night.